Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Celebrating Volunteers event for this year. My name's Linda Fenn and I'm the Head of Volunteering at the British Heart Foundation, and I sometimes think I'm the luckiest person in the world to have that job. Today is all about saying thank you to our volunteers for all of those of you that have joined us on this live event. It's the first time we've ever done it, so I'm sure it'll go without a glitch. What I'd just like to do first of all is to introduce you to some of the people that you're going to be meeting today over our amazing team system. So Charmaine, our Chief Executive, is going to be kicking us off, and I'm sure many of you will have seen her name in various publications. We will then be moving on to myself to tell you a few bits and pieces about some of our volunteering and the future of volunteering, followed shortly then by Rodri and then by Sarah, who look after fundraising and retail respectively. But we couldn't do today without our three amazing people behind the scenes. So Zoe, Melissa and Hannah, thank you so much. We wouldn't be here without you. So without no further ado, I'm going to pass you on to Charmaine. Have a great evening, everybody.
Oh, thank you, Linda, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be joining everyone on this very sunny Thursday evening. And a huge thank you for joining us today. As Linda said, this is our first Cross BHF volunteer event, and it's really special to do it in actually Volunteers Week this week. So bringing people from across our retail, fundraising and events volunteer networks together in celebration. And whilst I know we'd much rather be in person and have the opportunity to be together, it's absolutely brilliant to be connecting virtually. It's a real treat for us to spend some time with you. At the BHF, we of course know the power of volunteering. Simply put, every single person on this call tonight by volunteering helps to power our life-saving research as a BHF, and we simply couldn't do what we do without you. I've been so inspired over the last period to see how our own brilliant volunteers and staff have volunteered not just to support the BHF in our work to beat heart rate from heart and circulatory disease, but also within their communities during this pandemic period. A couple of examples. So Sophia worked as a check-in and chat volunteer for the NHS since March of last year, providing much needed telephone support to people at risk of loneliness, and has also been providing help and support in her local area by checking in on people who are isolating and shielding and carrying out simple things like grocery runs. So amazing work from Sophia. And another volunteer, Brian, has had experience in helping people with their mental health, and he decided to put his experience to use by supporting homeless and vulnerable people in his local area with counselling, but also being practical with support from food parcels, furniture and homewares for rehousing, as well as first aid. So just two examples of brilliant people in our volunteer team, part of our BHF family, who are making such a big difference in their communities. And I found these stories really inspiring and motivating in a year when we know it's just been so challenging for so many of us. And I really hope you and your families are well. I know how tough it's been for everybody across the last year. And for the BHF, there's no doubt the pandemic has been the biggest challenge of the 6 decades we've been in existence. The pandemic has meant that in 2021 alone, our net income dropped by half, and the ability of us to fund new research that we know that patients urgently need fell by half in turn. And we've been working really hard to mitigate the impact of that on our life-saving work and the research that ultimately brings us together as a BHF family. And the reason we're doing that, and we're fighting back against that impact so hard, is we know that it's the research that powers the progress that patients and their families urgently need. And so we've been working really hard to protect that research core. And since the beginning of the outbreak, we've also put people, of course, with heart and circulatory disease at the heart of everything we do. Today, there are 7.6 million people living across the UK's 4 nations with heart and circulatory disease. And our team did a remarkable job being there for them when they needed us most during the pandemic. Our coronavirus hub and heart helpline have supported over 6 million visitors over the last year, and I think they've done a phenomenal job, and I know been deeply, deeply appreciated. So this is the interaction with heart patients and listening to what matters to them has really helped us understand how to provide the right kind of information and support over the last 12 months. And for anyone on this call who might have a heart condition and hasn't yet seen our coronavirus hub, or has a family member or friend or loved one who might, please do check out our website and pass that on to people who might find it beneficial. And we've been fighting back as a BHF on lots of fronts. We've been fantastically thinking about how to do things differently. Our team have adapted brilliantly to remote working. We've been innovating through initiatives such as a new membership programme we've called My BHF, please watch out for that, and also through online fundraising and online retail. So we've got wonderful virtual tins. Retail team have done a phenomenal job looking for postal donations and really accelerating the work of our eBay operation. And I think it's absolutely wonderful to see us now opening up our doors on shops and stores across high streets across the UK's 4 nations. And I've loved visiting a few stores over recent weeks. I'm really looking forward to getting out and about and visiting some stores indeed tomorrow to say hello to our volunteers and thank them in person for their remarkable contributions. I think we've learned as a BHF so much over the last year, and I'm really proud of the way that the team have adapted and taken steps to protect the core and our research core. But it's absolutely also demonstrated that you, our volunteers, have simply never been more needed. We've seen fantastic support in volunteers rallying around the BHF, even in lockdown. So we saw our Carterton fundraising group in Oxfordshire raising over £2,000 from organising events like plant sales, making face coverings and selling their home grown produce in an honesty box scheme. So huge thank you to our Carterton fundraising group. And also a Billingham volunteer, June, has shared with us how she overcame lockdown anxiety and returned to volunteer in her store. After reading about the new safety measures that we've put in place in our retail operation, she was confident enough to go in and see them, and then confident enough to return to help us open our doors again in Billingham. So huge thank you to June and everyone else who's done the same. So those are just 2 powerful stories. We could be here all evening reflecting on the remarkable achievements of you, our volunteers, and the importance of what you do to support and power our BHF. Simply couldn't do what we do without you. So really appreciate you giving so generously your time and support as part of our BHF family. And of course, this year is the BHF's 60th year. It's our 60th anniversary. And we might be getting older as an organisation, but I love the way we're describing ourselves as 60 years young this year, and I hope you feel that too. We certainly don't feel old as an organisation, and I'm so proud that the ambition and the passion of our team and our volunteers has nowhere been diminished by the pandemic. And we're as ambitious about our goals and what we think we can do to change the world for people with heart and circulatory disease as we ever have been. And an example of that is we have a fantastic programme called the Big Beat Challenge, which is a £30 million competition for the world's best ideas to transform health and for people with heart and circulatory disease through research. And we're in the final stages of selecting choosing from the final 4 entrants into that intensely competitive and intensely prestigious competition, and we can only have protected our ability to fund that fantastic award with your support as our volunteers. So we're all about celebrating our achievements this year in our 60th year, but also looking to the future with hope and excitement about the difference we know our work as a BHF team makes. And let me share with you some of the reasons we should have confidence in ourselves in the BHF, and some of the things that you as our volunteers have helped progress over many, many years of support. And to do that, probably the best way is to rewind back to the start of when BHF began in the early 60s. So in 1961, when the BHF was first founded, 7 out of 10 heart attacks were fatal, sadly. And now, thanks to advances in treatment, prevention and care for people with heart attacks, I'm so pleased that 7 out of 10 people today who have a heart attack survive. And they, of course, get to see their families again and often live healthy, longer lives. And they do that because of the support of people like yourselves and others in our BHF family. And also, just to share with you, the scale of the issue we face is still enormous. It's really shocking to me that still today 1 in 4 people die from heart and circulatory diseases and urgently need the progress that we power together. So I think for me that number really sticks in my mind every time I think about the scale of the mission that we have together as a BHF team to make a difference for so many people. So I hope that gives you an introduction for today's session, and that you've heard certainly thank you from me as your Chief Exec to say thank you for all of the amazing work and support that you give us as a BHF. and look forward to hearing a bit more from my colleagues. So thank you. I'll hand over to Linda. Thank you.
That's great, Charmaine. Thank you so much indeed for giving us that insight. Well, I would like to just kick off by saying thank you, everybody. What you do for us is absolutely incredible. And I think when we've seen some of the drive and determination of you all over the last year, whether you've been able to volunteer, whether you've been shielding, we know that we have been in your hearts and that you are still out there supporting us. Just absolutely amazing. So much has changed during the course of the pandemic, and we will continue to change as well. But what I would like to say is, again, thank you, because our volunteering roles have never, ever been as important as they're going to be now, and as we move, hopefully very soon, out of this pandemic situation. We need you on our road to recovery. We've all had to adapt, as I was saying, during the course of the pandemic, and we will continue to do so, be it at the BHF, be it all of us at home as well. But the one thing that we do know from across the UK is this massive willingness of the UK public to want to volunteer. We've seen that with some of our NHS responders, the support that people have given from shopping through to vaccination hubs that we now see now. There is a huge willingness. And we too at the BHF want to be able to offer everybody in the UK an amazing volunteering opportunity that's right for them, right for us, and absolutely flexible to supporting their local communities in the way that they would like to. In terms of volunteering, we've also been somewhat innovative as well, and I'd just like to share a really short story with you. We've got a great young lad called Jack who approached us in the middle of the pandemic to say, help, I'm doing the Duke of Edinburgh's award, but how do I volunteer? Because nothing's happening. So we stewarded him through an amazing online journey. He's ridden 100k on his bike, bearing in mind this cracking guy is 14 years old. He's hosted virtual quizzes, he's hosted bake-offs, and do you know what? He's raised over £1,000 through family and friends. So a shout out to Jack, absolutely amazing. Many young people support us that way. And of course, it's great that people can now go back to work in shops, be part of events fairly soon as part of their volunteering journey. I guess what I'd like to finish off with is saying that in our 60th year, we need you more than ever. We have talked so much about change, but whether, as I've said, you've been with us for a matter of days, a matter of weeks, months or years, every role that you do is just so important to the British Heart Foundation. Whether you do a shop volunteering role, whether you're part of a fundraising group, you're an in-mem volunteer, you're somebody that cheered at events, or somebody that's maybe currently supporting us as office volunteering and working remotely. Thank you to you all. We still need all of those roles, as well as lots more innovative roles that you're going to be hearing about. So I guess I've just got one ask of all of you guys, please. Talk to people, tell them about volunteering at the British Heart Foundation. We have roles out there for everybody, and we really do welcome people to come and donate their time to us for as much or as little time as you have to give. Every hour is really welcomed and really valuable. So it just remains for me to finish to say thank you again in this Volunteers Week 2021. Thank you for all that you do. And I'm now going to pass you on to Rodri.
Thank you, Linda. And on behalf of the BHF volunteering team, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all our fantastic fundraising volunteers for your continued support during this challenging time. We know that the last 15 months has been a tough and much of what you had planned has not been able to go ahead, unfortunately. While we hope the vaccine rollout begins a brighter tomorrow, we also know that the challenge is ahead and we need your help more than ever. So firstly, thank you to all our fundraising volunteers, whichever role you do. Whether you're an in memoriam secretary, a community speaker, a tin collector, an event volunteer, or a member of one of our 257 fundraising groups from across the country, thank you. You all have helped the BHF in your own ways and seen us through the most difficult times. Before I go on to talk about our new and exciting volunteering opportunities, I would like you to give a flavour of how creative and resilient our fundraising volunteers have been over this past year. The Sutton Coldfield fundraising group raised more than £5,600 by making and selling face coverings during the pandemic. A huge thank you to Sarah and her family who are members of the Carlisle fundraising group. Sarah provided a fantastic service throughout lockdown by selling fresh milk from her farm. Sarah and her family managed to raise £676 from their unique fundraising idea. And finally, we wanted to say a huge thank you to the inspirational 6-year-old Harry Rogers from Hereford. This year, to mark his 60th birthday, Harry set himself the challenge of completing 60 walks with his family. Those are just 3 examples of how fundraising volunteers have helped us over this last year. As you know, 2021 is our 60th birthday, and we would love to celebrate this with you. We know our celebrations may look a little different than we would like them to be, but we hope that you will join us to a bigger and bolder and consider doing something a little bit different for our 60th year. We're asking volunteers to come together and be part of Team 60. Whether you clock up miles on the bike, host a virtual quiz, or organise a 60th themed party, you can get involved individually, with your family, or reach out to your connections in your community to encourage them to celebrate 60 years with us. One thing to note here is as we progress through the roadmap of easing of lockdowns, we must make sure that we pay attention to government guidelines set out for England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. So in your Staying Connected emails, there will be updates on the latest government guidelines, and we would ask you just to look at those before planning your fundraising activities. But here are 4 examples of what kind of things our BHF volunteers have joined Team 60 are already planning. They're celebrating with a garden party, getting outdoors with their family and friends, whether it's an afternoon tea or a barbecue, a teddy bears picnic or a virtual tea party. They're fundraising for the BHF. They're also using their connections and reaching out to friends and family and local communities and asking them to raise £60 for us. Could you ask 6 other people in your connections to raise £60 for the BHF? Many volunteers have also signed up to My Step Challenge, a simple way to raise fitness and funds. Each challenge has been developed with the help from our specialist nurses. So if you've got a heart or circulatory condition, this one's for you too. Just choose a target, count those steps and spread the word. Or what about doing your own 60-hour challenge? The possibilities are endless. Could you be silent for 60 hours? Could you play a favourite sport or hobby? Set yourself a challenge and get people to sponsor you. So for more information about Team 60, please go to that website, www.bhf.org.uk/Team60. Some great news about events. Our events volunteering is back for 2021. It's been over a year of waiting, and we're so thankful that our fantastic event volunteers are still here with us, ready to go. But we still need a lot more volunteers. Every year we encourage supporters to run, swim, hike or cycle to raise money so we can beat Heartbreak Forever. But BHF events cannot happen without the hard work and dedication of volunteers. Events volunteers help us with welcoming participants and spectators to the event sites and locations, supporting BHF event managers with their setup and pack down of events, and celebrating participants at the finish line and giving out medals and water. As you can see, we're starting our 2021 events season with 2 flagship events in July. The BHF Bournemouth Peer-to-Peer Swim, which is in its 30th year, and the Yorkshire Three Peaks Challenge. We are looking for volunteers for these events, but also the registrations are open for all events featured on that slide. So if you're interested and you want to support our events for the forthcoming year, please get in touch. And finally, one exciting development, as mentioned previously by both Charmaine and by Linda, we've had to look at how volunteering has changed over the pandemic. And in response to that, from the end of the summer, we will be introducing you all to BHF Action Team. Action Team is a UK-wide network of volunteers who have signed up and support and respond to a variety of volunteering opportunities from across the BHF. When you become an Action Team member, you will be able to pick and choose opportunities which will fit around your life commitments. For example, you could help build awareness of a BHF campaign, for example, air pollution or blood pressure. You could fundraise locally by testing new BHF initiatives, or take part in specific local opportunities, for example, helping your local fundraising manager with some community research. The great thing about Action Team is that it's an easy way for you and your friends and family to experience different types of volunteering, and a great way to connect with other teams across the BHF. So please keep an eye out for your Staying Connected emails. We'll be giving you some more information about Action Team in the coming months. So that's a quick snapshot of what's available coming in fundraising. So now I'm passing over to Sarah, who will talk you through some exciting opportunities in retail. Thank you.
Thanks, Rodri, and thanks everybody else too. So hi everybody, my name's Sarah, and as Linda said, I would argue that my job is the best job at the BHF, because I get to look after retail volunteering, and I know that Linda and I both feel equally passionately about our roles in supporting volunteering here at the BHF. It seems to me there's been a common theme throughout the opening of this live event, and that's the thank you. And I don't think anybody around the virtual table here will apologise for repeating that message, because we absolutely genuinely mean it. So in retail, we are very, very blessed in normal times, you know, outside of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. We have around 18,000 volunteers who support us in BHF in our shops and stores, generously donating their time each and every day, to the tune of over 50 million hours of dedicated support from our amazing volunteers. So when each of us around the virtual table have said a thank you, and that we can't do our amazing life-saving work without you, each and every one of our volunteers, we absolutely mean it. You're absolutely critical to everything that we do here at the BHF, and obviously I'm going to focus a little bit on retail in terms of our shops and stores. So you may recognise my name. I've had the pleasure of writing out to all of our retail volunteers over the last 12 to 14 months. We've been doing that weekly through the Staying Connected newsletter. It's had fantastic readership. And one of the greatest joys for me each and every week has been that many of the volunteers, many of you guys on the call, have actually taken the time to respond to us directly and tell us how you're feeling and how you're thinking about the return to your shop and store. It's been just a pleasure, and we've stayed connected all of this time. We're now reverting back to monthly as we start to recover our retail operations, but we'll continue to send those newsletters, and we know that they've been a great source of information and reassurance in many ways. For example, I've been in contact with Sally. Sally is a volunteer in our Clifton Books and Music in Bristol, and we've stayed in contact over the return to shops and stores, and I'm thrilled to say that Sally's really enjoying being back in Clifton, and she's now involved in lots of research in the book department there, which is fantastic to hear. So many of you will already know that when we reopened our doors in retail, we had a record-breaking first day, which was absolutely sensational. Over £1 million worth of sales, and more than we could have hoped for, and really depended upon the support that you all gave in that reopening, and continue to give over these weeks as we recover our retail operations. So again, we want to reiterate our thank you. It's heartfelt. We really genuinely mean it. We could not open the doors of our 730 shops and stores without each and every one of you. So thank you from all of us to you. One of the things that has become evident as we've reopened our retail business is that the need for volunteer support is greater than ever. And again, this is a recurring theme on the event here this evening. Our support has always been and will continue to be fantastic from our retail volunteers, but we are sitting roughly 25% lower in terms of our numbers as we recover our retail operations, and that's for many reasons. And in order for us to continue our recovery, we are activating a recruitment campaign so that we can proactively recruit some new volunteers to join you, to join our amazing teams, so that we can continue to power on with our recovery. So you will have seen some of our campaign activity. So those of you that have been back in your shops and stores over the last fortnight, there's some great POS, for example, great posters in the windows all around the store, bringing that campaign to life, and you can see images of some of our volunteers on those posters, which is fantastic. The campaign itself has been very much based on lots and lots of research and our own internal research as well. So some of the things that we know, and you will know more than anybody, that the amazing benefits of volunteering really come to the fore at a time like this, when we've been through a national crisis. So we know, for example, that unemployment levels continue to be an issue, and we know that people have really struggled with their physical and mental well-being. And so our campaign has been very much based on this insight. So we're very aware that volunteering has a really positive impact on an individual's physical and mental well-being, and particularly helps people to start their employability journey. So to build skills, boost confidence, and enhance the CV. So the campaign has been built on lots of insight that we've developed through a series of surveys, and we've looked at external surveys from people like the Prince's Trust and from the Royal Voluntary Service, as well as our own amazing survey called The Gift of Time. So you can see on the screen here some of that activity. We're across many social media channels telling great stories about volunteering and the huge benefits. So we would, as Linda said earlier, we would actively encourage you to ask your family and friends to come and join us on this journey, and we would ask you to share the essence of the campaign. Very, very keen to make sure that our volunteers have a really enjoyable journey with us. And as part of that, we've developed a programme so that when people join us on an employability journey, for example, we have a series of certificates that can help to boost your CV. We're about to launch some nationally recognised vocational qualifications. We've done them for a little while in England, but we've done a lot of research during lockdown. I'm delighted to tell you that we're going to be able to offer the same programme or a similar programme of nationally recognised qualifications in Wales and in Scotland. Now, if you're dialing in from Northern Ireland, please don't think for a second that we've forgotten about you. We haven't. We are working really hard to find a solution for Northern Ireland so that we can offer the same nationally recognised qualifications there also. We're also about to launch a traineeship for our volunteers in retail, so that enhanced journey through volunteering and possibly into employment, either at the BHF or elsewhere. So a really robust programme of activity to make sure that we have that really world-class journey for our volunteers. An example would be, and you may have seen Kerry's story on our social media channels. So Kerry down in Truro joined the BHF as a volunteer and needed to, for one reason or another, look for suitable employment, and a role came up at the BHF, and through his volunteering he'd really rebuilt his confidence and applied for the role, and Kerry is now an assistant manager in our Truro shop, and he actively recruits volunteers and tells them all about his amazing journey. So I just wanted to share Kerry's story. Check him out on social media. It's a fantastic story. And then just lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about, it's already been touched on, some of the exciting new roles that we'll have available in retail specifically. So as part of our recovery in retail, we've also needed to pivot our business. So I'm sure you're already aware of our amazing online selling platforms. So we're creating new roles for our volunteers to get really actively involved in listing on our online selling platforms, doing research, photography. So all of these roles are about to be launched, so watch out for some fantastic new news, along with furniture assembly and electrical department roles, which will be available in our home stores as well. So some really exciting roles. We're even looking at opportunities for people to volunteer from the sofa, so that you can continue to support us out of hours as well. So really exciting times ahead for retail as we pivot our business and continue our retail recovery. I'm going to hand back to Charmaine in a moment, but I'd really like to end my session. It won't surprise you to know that I'm going to say thank you again. And it really is absolutely heartfelt. each and every one of you, every moment of time that you give to us in retail. We genuinely could not open our doors without you, and we are so, so grateful. We are looking to boost our numbers. We're looking to continue that strong recovery in retail, and we're looking for your help to spread the word. I really want to say thank you to each and every one of you for everything that you do and everything that you're going to continue to do to support the retail recovery. So from all of us in retail, thank you. And over to Charmaine.
Thanks, Sarah. And I know we know we've got volunteers with us today, and people who give us the gifts of their time from across the BHF, whether you work in a shop or store or fundraise or support us in other ways. So it's brilliant to have you all with us. Now, I can see there have been questions, and we've had some live from you and also had some pre-submitted. So I'm going to ask Zoe from our team to talk us through those. Zoe, what have we got? And a slight silence.
Zoe,
it might be on
Zoe,
mute.
you're on mute.
But yeah, I think all of us have been on mute in 2021, Zoe, so you're not alone, but go for it.
Thank you, Charmaine, and thanks everyone for joining. I've got a question which I'm actually going to go to Sarah for. So it's the first question that's been pre-submitted. Do I need any qualifications to start volunteering with the BHF? I know you've touched upon it, Sarah, but just over to you, just to expand on that.
Thanks, Zoe. Absolutely not would be the answer to that question. Absolutely not. I mean, a cheerful smile and a willingness to come and help really would be the only qualifications that you need. We warmly welcome a diverse range of people into our volunteering team, and so, you know, if qualifications is something that you're looking to build, for example, you can absolutely do that as part of your journey in volunteering within retail, and you don't have to if you don't want to either. So please, yeah, recommend volunteering to anybody and everybody, absolutely.
Thanks, Sarah. There's a few other questions that I'm just going to group together, all for you at the moment. So what flexible ways can I volunteer for the BHF, and is there a minimum or maximum amount of time per week that I can volunteer?
Great question. Thanks, Zoe. No minimum and no maximum would be the answer to that question. The flexibility really sits with the volunteer. Obviously, there are at the moment there's a little bit of jiggery pokery that needs to happen, and rightly so, because of social distancing measures. So we do need to make sure that we've got the right number of people in the building at any one time, so that everybody can conduct their volunteering in a safe way, and clearly that will always remain at the heart of everything that we do. So that's a current consideration. But in terms of somebody wanting to come and volunteer and to gift us their time, absolutely no minimum and maximum. We would just encourage you to come and make a start, really. And it's up to you to decide what that looks like for you, and we can work around that.
Great, Sarah. And there's one other question here, and I know you mentioned it, but if you could just expand on it a little bit, it'd be great. And what qualifications can I get when I volunteer?
Sure. Well, there are some formal qualifications, as I kind of touched on earlier. So in England at the moment, there's accessibility to the National Vocational Qualification, or the NVQ, as most people know it. And those qualifications can be gained in an array of retailing skills, from customer service to warehouse operations, and many things in between. And we're just about to launch a digital skills version of that as well, which obviously is of the moment, and that will be expanded, or a similar version of that. They're often called slightly different things in different locations, but that will be also available in Scotland and Wales very, very soon. In fact, pilots due to start from next week. Northern Ireland, as I said earlier, we are working, and I know that Fergal, who heads up the Northern Ireland operations for the BHF, he's going to help us try and find some solutions there. So you're not forgotten. And if a national vocational qualification isn't for you, we have a suite of certificates that we can offer. So, for example, volunteers can come and boost their confidence, improve their communication skills and leadership, teamwork, and there's a suite of certificates. So individuals can join us in retail and boost their CV as part of that journey. So I guess we've got something to offer for everybody. We've also got the formal traineeship programme about to launch, which is really exciting development for us, and for the first time ever we'll be able to offer that also in Scotland and Wales. But it's really driven by the individual, Zoe. It's very much about what the individual wants to get from their volunteering, and then we'll tailor their journey and make sure that the thing that brought somebody to come and volunteer with us, that we exceed their expectations.
Love that. Thanks, Sarah. Just another question. We've got somebody asking, I already volunteer with a local charity. Can I also volunteer for the BHF?
I absolutely don't see any reason why not. And I think one of the things that we've seen during the pandemic, Zoe, is that people have a real appetite to do good things in their community. So, for example, I'm thinking about the amazing team down in Penzance. They proactively volunteer at Penzance Food Bank, and then they come and volunteer with us in the afternoon. And the richness of their experiences, having spent time in the food bank, you know, they're probably telling people about the great work of the British Heart Foundation when they're there also. I just think that enriches, and Zoe, you've heard me use this term before, you know, the rich tapestry of people that come and volunteer with us, you know, so volunteering elsewhere just adds to the experience. So I'd say fantastic, bring it on.
Great, thanks, Sarah. I'm going to go to Linda on the next question. My daughter is 14. How can she volunteer for the Duke of Edinburgh Award? Over to you, Linda.
Okay, a simple answer to this one, actually. If you go to bhf.org.uk/D&V, we have a dedicated lady by the name of Sue who stewards all of our online inquiries. You do have to be 16 to go into a shop, so I just put that one out there so that everyone's aware. But anybody of any age can be involved in the fundraising activities, such as the story that I told you about Jack. So yeah, absolutely accessible to all. And we can also sign off the assessment for young people as well. So I'm hoping you've got that.
Great, thank you. Just lost my internet connection there. Thank you, Linda. Also, Rodri mentioned it. He said that as part of this amazing Team 60, we've got an eager volunteer here who's a shop volunteer, but are wondering whether they can volunteer as well for the Team 60. So, Linda, over to you.
So yes, absolutely. Very similar answer to Sarah's. Yes, we welcome anybody wanting to do anything. Absolutely brilliant. If you're already volunteering with us, if you feel you'd like to do something else as well, then that's absolutely fabulous, because you're already a great advocate for us, and we really, really welcome any volunteers who perhaps aren't sure but maybe want to try something new. You know, you could be a fundraising volunteer thinking, I'd love to, you know what, maybe one afternoon I could go and work in a shop. Absolutely fabulous, and vice versa. Any of our retail volunteers who perhaps want to help us in an event, be part of a fundraising group. It's just open to everybody, and really, really welcome people trying some new things.
Wonderful. I'm going to go over to Rodri on the next one. If I sign up to be an event volunteer, what will I be doing on the day? So you've mentioned, Rodri, there's a range of ways people can get involved. So what would a volunteer be doing on an event day?
Yeah, obviously we've got a breadth of different types of events, and volunteering would be different at each of those events. But if you were to sign up, you'd be welcoming participants and spectators to the event. You'd be supporting BHS staff, making sure that the event would be safe, and also making sure that the information provided for our participants was accurate, and just being a face and helping the organisation run smoothly. Also, in modern times, we have got COVID restrictions on events, so in terms of making sure that participants and other colleagues and volunteers are safe as well. So a range of opportunities to help us at different events.
Wonderful, thanks, Rodri. And we've got a gentleman called Dave Hall on the line. Thanks very much, Dave. Dave's just mentioning, he's asking about, are we continuing to kind of do these online events for volunteers? So, Dave, the answer is, I know all around the virtual sector would love to do more of these, and if it's valuable for our volunteers, then it is absolutely time well spent, and we would be delighted to. So if anyone's listening and you actually are really valuing this time, so please do just put it in the chat, and we'd hope to do more of these. I'm just going to go around the table, because I know you've all referenced about how special the BHF is, and Sarah in particular, the kind of rich tapestry of people at the BHF. But to your minds, what do you think encapsulates you know, the volunteer experience of the BHF? What makes it so special?
for me, it's passion. I think everyone in volunteering is. Oh, sorry. Am I still there? Sorry.
Go for it, Roger.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, passion. It's all about passion. Our supporters, our colleagues from all across the organisation. It's all about passion and working for the organisation that's doing amazing good. So it's passion that sums it up for me.
Love that. Sarah, over to you.
Thanks, Zoe. I agree with Rodri. I think we have passion off the Richter scale at the British Heart Foundation. I think if I was to think about the thing that is unique to volunteering at the BHF, it's back to that rich tapestry. I have never ever worked with such a diverse, enlightened, driven, passionate group of people. I get the opportunity to learn from people, to hear about their lived experiences, and it really is that rich tapestry. It's just the most incredible group of people with a common purpose. But I think it's the diversity, Zoe, and I'm going to steal another second here just to talk about potential as well. I think the thing that makes me jump out of bed every day is when somebody is volunteering with us and we see their potential and they may not, or we see a greater potential for them, and when they achieve it, it's like magic. It's like magic.
Oh, that's giving me goosebumps. I love that. Linda, what would you say?
I think for me, it's about being part of the BHF family. I really do see us as a family, and I think that talks about people that are paid staff as well as volunteers. But to join our volunteering family is just something absolutely unique. And I think as part of that family, we're all, part of families, big, small, etc. But actually, everybody in that family is unique. And we, always talk about everybody bringing themselves to their volunteering. And I just think that for me is the most powerful thing. We're one big family. And yes, of course, sometimes things aren't as great as other times, but the vast majority of the time, things are just absolutely fabulous. And we all bring ourselves to whatever we do. And that for me is one of the biggest things that I just love about the whole work of the BHF.
Thanks, Linda. And before I go to Charmaine on that question as well, just something through from Ray. Thank you, Ray. He's put in all upper caps, so he's very passionate about this. For anyone thinking of volunteering, I would say give it a go, as it really is very satisfying. So thank you, Ray, wherever you are. Really appreciate that comment. Over to you, Charmaine. What makes the volunteering experience at the BHF so very special?
Look at that. Unmute myself. Do you know what? Great question. I think it's all about the people. I've always said, having been part of the BHF family since 2003 myself, that we have the very best of colleagues and volunteers, and it's everything that everyone you just heard speak about bundled together. It's very magic, that combination of driven and committed and passionate people and a desire to make a difference in the world, and the support, kindness and inspiration that people give each other, I think makes the BHF an exceptional organisation. It's a real privilege to be part of the team. So yeah, I'm incredibly proud of our volunteers and inspired by you every single day, and thank you again for joining us tonight. Actually, I love the session tonight. I hope you did too. It's been really lovely to hear your questions and your feedback and hear from colleagues around the virtual table together. And I really hope that if you've enjoyed it, you will join us again in the future, and also encourage other volunteers at the BHF and in our networks to join. And we'd love to hear a little bit more from you about what's going to be important for you to hear from us. And I know the team will be asking for your feedback following this. But it might draw us to a close on this slightly balmy Thursday evening by saying a huge thank you to perhaps my colleagues around the table first, to Zoe, Mel and Hannah behind the scenes, and to Linda, Rodri and Sarah for sharing their excellent presentations and giving us some inspiration today about how we might get involved. And just say again, thank you. You are a phenomenal group of people. We're very proud to have you as part of our BHF family, and everything that you've done, that you do at the moment, you're going to do for the future, absolutely makes a big difference. Every hour you give us as a gift of your time helps make a difference for the 7.6 million people today with heart and circulatory disease, and will help make a difference for generations to come. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you again for joining us. I wish you a lovely evening and look forward to seeing you again at another event. Thank you.